Welcome, everyone. Hi, I'm Sue Paulson. Welcome to Tea with Sue. Every Friday, I plan to sit down and have a chat with you. I have my tea with me in my special mug that I brought from Greece, and I'm going to just talk about life and where we're going in this life. So, one of the first things you probably need to know about me is that I'm all about magnificence. In fact, I'm so keen on everyone tapping into their own personal magnificence that I have an app called The Magnificence Mentor that I load up with videos and articles and anything that will help each of us remember that we were born magnificent because we were. I just have this unshakable belief in that possibility. So, what I want to work with then is in bits and pieces, in a relaxed and casual manner, walk you through some ideas about tapping into that magnificence. It's such an important thing to do. If you, like me, have lived enough time in self-sacrifice, settling for, and ultimately suffering, then maybe it's time we do something different. Maybe it's time we shift our focus and look at how life could be different for us. So typically in Tea with Sue, we'll spend about 20 minutes working through whatever the topic of the day is. So one of the topics that has so intrigued me in working with magnificence is the topic of desire. So I'm just going to mute my phone here for a second so that it doesn't bing and bong. Perfect. Now, so desire, what is desire? Well, you look at the dictionary definition and it's a cherished, it's something that's strongly wished for. So if we can back it up a little bit, and a wish is that sort of fleeting idea of something that we want. So it might be, oh, I really wish I could take a trip somewhere. And it just kind of flits in our mind as a thought that may or may not quickly go out. But if we capture that thought and really think about it, really focus our energy or give our attention to it, then it becomes a little desire. And we go, oh, well, I would love that. And then the desire grows because we think more thoughts about it, right? That we allow our mind to track to, well, where would I go if I went on a trip? Would it be someplace warm? Would it be to the snowy mountains to ski? Do I love the beach? Do I want a rainforest? All of those thoughts then start to flood our minds and our imagination kind of expands. So that's kind of the gist of what a desire is. Now, it's even simpler than that if we go back to our day-to-day activities. So when your eyes pop open first thing in the morning, either at the sound of the alarm, now maybe you, like many others I know, your first desire when you hear that alarm is to hit the snooze button. And bang, you hit the snooze button for. Well, you wouldn't have hit the snooze button if you hadn't had a desire to do exactly that. Catch another 5 minutes sleep or 10 minutes or however long your snooze button lasts for. So maybe your desire to stay in bed was stronger than your desire to get up and get ready for work. So that's as simple as it is. Now, so what I want you to think about then is how would you take that flicker, that little flame of desire and revel in it? So let's say that you're first flicker of desire when your eyes open in the morning is for a cup of coffee. Well, before you, and of course, as you may have guessed, mine is for a cup of tea. I mean, I'm a tea granny, not a coffee person. So before you take action, because you know that you won't be able to fulfill that desire unless you take some kind of action, just stop for a moment and revel in the desire of that coffee. Just you know what the aroma is like. You know because of past experience, right? You've had probably many cups of coffee if you're a coffee drinker. So the aroma, the flavor of it on your tongue, the sense of well-being at the first sip as it works down your throat. So think of all those things, or maybe even the pleasure of spooning it out into your coffee maker and setting the button and just breathing in what it smells like as it's perking. So all of those sensations that bombard you give you such a delicious sense of well-being, and you haven't even had your coffee yet, right? So, so why not take that? Maybe it takes 10 seconds or even a minute out of your day to just revel in that sensation of the loveliness of anticipating the coffee. I don't know about you, but sometimes the anticipation of something is every bit as marvelous as the actual thing once I have it in my hand. So start by practicing that. So when you have a desire for something, maybe you're not going to be able to fulfill that desire until you actually get to the office. So you might be 30 minutes or an hour away from that first coffee, but you can still revel in the anticipation of it ahead of time. And then of course, when you actually get the coffee, well, that's like double pleasure, right? So now, so why do I talk about this waiting or anticipating ahead of time with what it is? Well, it adds to our pleasure. And when we add to what makes us happy or something that gives us a great deal or even a tiny bit of joy, it floods endorphins through the body. And our body loves that. And so it gives our body a shot of feel good. Well, of course, that's not bad for us. That's good for us. The more times in a day that we can do that, then the better our day goes. So if from a moment by moment perspective in your day, you get into the habit of thinking, what do I truly desire right in this moment? And then you build on those desires. Well, maybe I've gone through part of my day and my heart's desire is to go wash my car. It's got grubby from winter slush and it doesn't look very good. And I feel so much better when I'm in my clean car. I feel better when I approach the car and I look at it and I have a red car. Oh, it's all shiny and red and just gleaming. And of course, the opposite of that is I look at the dirty car and I think, gee, and I'm driving around in a dirty car. So maybe in this moment, my desire is to have a clean car. Well, if that desire is strong enough, then I begin to take action. All right, what do I need to do in order to go wash my car? Well, in my case, I actually like going to the little place where you can do it yourself with the big hoses and all of that sort of thing. And so then first thing I'm doing is scrambling for change. All right, I need loonies and toonies and I need to be able to pay for my car wash. I need my shoes. I need my jacket, my keys. And so then I start taking all the little actions that need to happen in order for me to fulfill that desire. And then of course get myself to the car wash and into the aisle, and then I'm into it, right? And the end result for me is a clean car. Well, I come out of there and I have this great sense of satisfaction because I gave myself a gift. I gifted myself the sheer joy of having a clean car. So when we go through life like this, then life becomes like our own brand of heaven on earth, right? Because we've done things that fulfill a desire in us. Now, I didn't grow up that way. I grew up with the idea that I was to be a servant to mankind. I was to sacrifice whatever was important to me in favor of everybody else's desires. Well, I learned how to do it, and at some point I learned to take some pleasure in watching other people's desires get filled because of how I served them. But there was always this niggling little thing in the back of my mind. Well, okay, when is it my turn? Because I was always instructed as a youngster, wait your turn, except nobody ever said when it was my turn. And so, because the abiding theme in the back was, well, Sue, everybody else's needs are more important than yours. So if you get everything done, kind of like the old Cinderella story, right? You get everything done, then you have a little bit of scrabbling time for yourself. And so you have to hurry up and do for yourself what you'd most like to do, because you know that the bell's going to ring or somebody's going to call you and ask you to do something more. So for lots of years, I settled for these little bits, but all the while feeling this resentment inside me because it never seemed to be my turn. It never seemed to be possible for me to look to myself first and deal with what was important to me and then look to everyone else. There's a great book out by a guy by the name of Spencer Johnson. Now he co-authored The 1 Minute Manager many years ago with Ken Blanchard. Then he carried on, he's a medical doctor, and he wrote this lovely book called 1 Minute for Myself. And in that book, it's written in kind of a story form where he has this guy that he's coaching and talks about the way to help other people get their needs met is to meet your own needs first. So that's a lot of what we're talking about when it comes to desire. That if I take that minute for myself and give myself something that pleases me or brings me joy or lifts my spirits, then I have way more capacity to serve other people. So it's a big flip from the way I grew up. Of course, the other challenge with settling is that I suffered lots. So, and out of that came this sense of, well, everybody else is worthy to get what they want, but I'm not worthy to have what I want. So there's a big roadblock to having our desires met, is when we don't feel worthy. We don't feel that we measure up. Well, if only I do this, and this, then maybe I can have my heart's desire. Well, the trouble with that is, and there's a fear element that comes in here. So in so much of the studying that I've done as a student of life and a student of how to live a more magnificent life, I've come to understand that we have love as one equation and we have fear as the other, and they're kind of opposites. So we're either doing things out of fear, fear that we won't measure up, fear that we're not enough, fear that other people will think poorly of us, on and on and on. And the list, you could make a long, long list that would indicate that. And then on the other hand is love. Do I love myself enough to bring me whatever my heart's desire is, that then increases the love I have that can spill out to other people. So you know the old analogy of the cup, and is it half full or half empty? Well, of course, if we give and give and give and give and give and give and give, pretty soon there's not much in the cup, and there's just nothing left. I might even only have a drop to give, and then I have no more. Well, what has to happen? Well, I have to fill up my tank. But of course, if we're full all the time, if we focus on giving to ourselves first and fulfilling those heart's desires, then it's a whole lot easier to help others fill their cup. And of course, the beauty of that is that we lead by example, right? So then we're into this whole arena where other people watch what we do and they go, well, why couldn't I have that? So let me give you a recent example. I lived in Winnipeg for 2 years. It was a personal sabbatical that I took. And when I came back to Edmonton, my hometown, of course, I was searching on the internet for a place to live. And I had made my list of my ideal place. What does my ideal place have in it? What size is it? What does it look like from a sort of an aesthetic standpoint? What does it have in it? And there were absolute musts and on that list, of course, and then there were the ideals. So, and of course, because I was brought up to kind of settle, well, you might not be able to get it all, but I did learn, well, let's put everything on the list anyway. So I had things like, it's winter, we have winter here and it can get really, really cold. So underground parking would be such a gift. And in-suite laundry would be another gift, and an elevator in the building, so I wasn't lugging groceries up 3 flights of stairs. That would be another gift. So I had all of these things in my mind, and I was putting it out to the universe and say, okay, this is what my heart's desire is. This is what would really fill me up, just 100% if I got all of these things. And of course, the biggest part of that was at the budget that I've set aside for rent. So it needed to fit my financial well-being as well. So I put it out there, and then I'm looking and I discovered that to get my heart's desire, everything that I wanted, it meant that actually the rent was going to be $200 a month more than what I had budgeted for. And I'm going, oh, all right, well, okay, obviously that means probably no underground parking, and it probably won't get in-suite laundry, and the building may or may not have an elevator. So then I need to be on the first floor or the second floor at the absolute highest. Well, I just let it sit. I was a little discouraged, and I thought, well, I found one place that would do. So I just said to the universe, okay, this or something better. And then one of those out of the blue moments, you know, that moment where you weren't expecting this call, but a friend calls me from Edmonton to tell me about this apartment that I had actually been in once upon a time. It had come vacant, and did I want the landlord's number? So things proceeded, and I knew that this place had everything that I wanted. What I didn't know was whether it was in my budget or not. And it was so interesting in talking with the landlord, because actually it wasn't in my budget. And so I told her this, and I said, I'm sorry, it's not something that's in my budget right now. And so I was prepared to let it go. Well, she phoned the next day and said, we're happy to reduce the rent to meet your budget. And I'm going, so, and in an odd kind of way. So this is the funniest part of this. I have this momentary, it wasn't even momentary, it was a split second thought. I just got my heart's desire. All I have to do is say yes. And there was this second where I hesitated and thinking, oh, maybe it's too good to be true. Maybe I should say no. And then, and then fortunately, I'm going, give your head a shake, say yes. So I said, yes, yes, yes. And here I am, absolutely thrilled with where I am. I got my heart's desire. So every moment when I wake up in the day and look around my new apartment, I'm thrilled because I gave myself this gift. And I had to give myself permission to give this gift. I had to feel worthy of that. So, what we want to make sure that we're doing in life is practicing this desire. So, play with it, have fun with it. That's what I started doing, is just having fun with these little desires. Even if I didn't act on the desire, doesn't mean you have to act on every desire that you have. Sometimes I desire to have chocolate cake for breakfast, but it's just not, I decide not to. I decide to have something a little healthier instead. But the pleasure that it gives me just thinking about getting that desire brings my spirits up. So that's what I wanted to have tea with you about today, is talking about desire. And we're going to build on this because there's other facets of this. Over the next week, think about your roadblocks that there are to getting your heart's desire. Why couldn't you have that? Or why couldn't you entertain that idea or whatever? Sometimes we'll just stop desiring anything because we're so afraid that we're not worthy of having it. And that just leads us to a life of suffering, and it's kind of like hell on earth, right? Well, I think we've done enough of that. So I really want to encourage you today to think about your desires and honor them. And whenever you want to act on any of those desires, then go for it. Just go for it. In the meantime, if you want more of Tea with Sue or more of Magnificence Moments, you can go to my app called The Magnificence Mentor. It's a free download from either Google Play or your iStore, Apple Tunes, whatever, iTunes, whatever that store is. That I have, obviously I have an Android, so I'm not as familiar with it. So a download, a free download, and if you sign up as a free member, then there's lots of content on there, articles, videos, more stuff to help you tap into your own magnificence. In the meantime, have a glorious Friday, a great rest of the weekend, and we'll see you next time.